My name is Boyd Sharp. I'm 39 years old. I'm an IT guy. Work in an office all day, and I am in the biggest rut. I need a reason to get out of bed in the morning, and I don't have it.
Yeah.
Boyd has no background in mixed martial arts, but somehow he came up with the idea that, hey, I want to try this.
Here we go.
Some hard here, let's go!
Yeah.
I've never been in a fight in my entire life, but in 1 year, I'm going to get in a mixed martial arts cage and fight a professional fight.
You better get up and fight.
When I told people that I was going to do this, they said, A, you're nuts, and B, can I come too?
Better get up and fight.
And I'm just trying to show that ordinary people, when they put their minds to it, can do extraordinary things.
You better get up and fight. Yeah. You better get up and fight.
Knees up, Asher, let's go. Getting some numbers here, Asher, let's go.
Training 6 days a week for nearly 7 months is not something someone would do for street cred. That type of dedication quickly becomes a way of life. There are still 5 long months ahead for the Cubes who wish to fight in the cage. 300 tried out, 30 were chosen, and now 25 remain. Head trainer Peter Martell is hoping to half that number. The problem for Peter is he needs to focus his attention to those who have a chance of fighting and get rid of those who don't. And he's running out of time.
Guys, this is getting down to crunch time. You guys don't have much time left. You guys can't do this simple, basic stuff that we've gone over and over and over again. There's not much fucking hope for you.
It's frustrating when I don't think that they're putting the effort in or paying attention or thinking about what's coming down the road. That, they can't even remember a technique that I've shown them 3 classes in a row.
We can't hit you with anything. How's your counter?
It's time now to decide who has a realistic chance of fighting and who doesn't.
He expects many will quit the program once they find out where they stand.
I needed to have a sense of how they felt they fit into this picture. And then I had to tell them how I felt they fit into the picture. I'm 50-50 right now, I don't know. I don't know whether you're gonna be able to do it or not. You believe in yourself? You think you can do this?
I don't know.
I think that you can fight, but you may not be ready in time. You're not gonna be in a position to fight. You're not gonna be in a position to train enough to fight. You've told me.
Peter was laying it all out for everyone with blunt honesty. Some accepted his assessment respectfully, and others were relieved they still had a chance to fight.
You're one of the bright lights in this program. I feel like strangling other people.
I honestly thought you hated me for like a song.
Well, it just means I'm doing my job if you think I hate you.
Peter is giving everyone a fair chance to state their case, but Rick Doyle is worried about being told to leave the program. Rick is a former professional wrestler, still searching his soul for why he even wants to be here.
I didn't know how far I was going to make it in the program. I really didn't think I was going to make it very far, to be honest. And I'm sure you've trained people long enough. You took a look at me and figured probably I'd be here a month, maybe.
I gotta tell you, I did. I thought you were gonna be hard-headed and obstinate and not willing to learn. You are as tough as I've ever seen. You've got as much heart as I've ever seen. That's something that you can't. That's just in you.
I appreciate what you have to say very much. And this has been a journey of my life. So many times I've sat there and I said, man, if I was 20 years old, but at 20 years old, I wasn't ready for this. At 40, I am.
Another 40-year-old hoping to make it to the end is chartered accountant Steve Goodfellow. His body is breaking down, but his spirit remains strong.
I find it really difficult to assess myself, but there's something I want to say, and that is that I have given up most of my life for this. And if I make it to the end and you don't cut me, and you decide that I'm not gonna have my fight is with you. And I promise you, I will put on the 4-ounce gloves and the mouthpiece, and I will force you to knock me out, or to put me to sleep. And I will have my fight.
Yeah, geez.
Not the fight I want, but...
I might not let you fight just so we can do that.
Let's be clear, it's not the fight I want. There was a real nervousness from everybody going in. Nobody was really sure what to expect. And coming out of it, I think there were a number of people that have now been told that basically you're not gonna cut it. So I think we've started to see a few more people that are dropping off, which is really unfortunate. Some really terrific people. But as Peter has said before, there's no shame in it. There's just some people aren't built to be fighters, and that's just the way it is.
If you took one look at Boyd Sharp, you would say this guy is not a fighter. But even though the program was his idea and everyone is on this journey with him, there are no guarantees Boyd will ever be ready or able to fight.
All the training in the world is a wonderful thing, but I think this is where we find out if I'm a fighter or not.
This is the intangible that is really hard to teach. I need you to flip that switch, turn that corner, you know. You've got to tell me, I know I can do it. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fucking kill somebody. That's the difference between you being a fighter or not being a fighter. You're very cerebral. You can learn these things, but you have to get that animal instinct. You know, you have to be a killer. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be a mindless, you know, lunatic in there, but you need to be focused. When you see that person across from you, your whole goal is to put them on the ground. This is as ruthless and as heartless as it's going to get.
15 seconds! There is no quit! Do not stop! Hard, let's go! Seconds left, push yourself! If you stop, you lose the fight! And you're not going to lose the fight, let's go!
Peter's one-on-one time with each of the cubes had the desired results. Within a few weeks, it was obvious those who wanted it bad enough stayed and trained harder. The rest found ways out. Most just slowly stopped coming. Jeanette D'Entremont and her husband moved away. And Jock's best friend Luke jokingly put himself in a cast as his ticket out.
He's a good man, this guy.
One after another, they started to drop off. We lost Luke, we lost Colin, we lost Jake, we lost Megan. It seemed like every week there was one or two that just stopped coming or officially told us they had to bow out of the program.
Albeit all of those who quit had put in a solid 7 months of the hardest training of their lives. To actually physically commit and train MMA is something many ordinary people will never do. Now the program was cut in half, and 13 cubes remain for the final 5 months of training.
This is when we're going to throw them in with the people who are already established, the people who are already good. They've already fought, they're professional fighters already. So they should have a bare minimum of skills now that they can come in and survive. It's not going to be pleasant for them. They're going to get the crap beat out of them. This will be a big jump. They start seeing what someone who's really good can do.
I walked in here thinking, you know, I've had some street fights, I've been bouncing, I think I can hold my own. And then to have your ass handed to you so easily, you realize, okay, you've got a lot to learn, pal. These guys that are trained in this sport are just tremendous athletes, and they're hard son of a bitches.
The biggest difference is they're a lot better than us. Like Peter said, steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron, but it's like a learning curve. We're suddenly going up, and now it's like we hit a wall and we're forced to climb almost at a vertical level. You feel like you don't know anything and you can't do anything. So it's like starting all over again.
Boyd Sharp and the rest of the 13 cubes who remain just joined the pros from Titans MMA in Halifax for the second half of their year-long campaign to become pro fighters.
I think that the cubes were at a level where they were comfortable fighting each other, and I didn't want them to get complacent. You know, they go in like, oh, I did good today, oh, I did good today, and all of a sudden they lose that sense of urgency. So they're getting the crap beat out of them daily again.
It's like fighting with fighting the tide or fighting a brick wall or something. There's just nothing to work with.
You walk down the street and you see a big jacked up guy and everybody says, wow, that guy's a tough guy, he's a strong guy, he'd demolish me. You can walk in here, meet a guy that weighs 90 pounds soaking wet, and he will kick your ass.
It's gonna be so bloody hard. Day in and day out, it's gonna be so hard. This is what would make me quit.
I really don't think the average person has any idea what these people are going through. The pain and suffering, you know, just the cardio workouts, the injuries, cutting weight, training when you're hurt. It really, you know, it's easy to sit on your couch and say, oh, you know, that's entertaining, that's interesting, but unless you've done it, you really have no idea. When you get up in the morning and you're halfway across the room before you can actually stand erect, and putting your socks on is painful, and you know, then you have to show up and do this and have somebody kick you and punch you and slam you on the ground, and you gotta get up and do it again the next day and the next day. That says something about who you are as a person.
I want to quit this program pretty much every single day. I was actually driving to training one day and I saw a guy on crutches with his leg in a gigantic cast limping towards a bus stop. And I thought, oh, if I was only that guy, like, he's not going to get punched in the face tonight. He's not going to get kneed in the liver and feel like pissing himself tonight. He's not going to be exhausted to the point of delirium tonight. He's probably gonna go home and watch TV. And I have those kind of fantasies a lot. I'll try to do a real neat ponytail for you, okay? Sorry, babe. I was buying some protein one day, and my daughter looked at the cashier and said, my daddy goes to the gym every night. And the lady nodded and said, wow, what does your daddy do at the gym? And without thinking, my daughter said, people punch him in the face.
Any tangles?
Very, very few tangles at all.
Ow!
Sorry.
The training is infinitely harder on a 40-year-old frame like Boyd's. And although his family isn't getting repeatedly beat up every evening, they're all feeling the effects of this journey in more subtle ways.
Well, basically, this year I have no hobbies. I have no free time. Next year, the load falls on him. There's going to be some payback. So I'm going to be able to say on a Tuesday night, honey, I'm going out. You got the kids.
Well, she says remarkably little in way of complaint, actually. It's almost like Juanita has just bared down and pretended that this is not even happening.
I mean, the man's 40 years old and fighting with 20-year-olds. So he comes home with, you know, cuts and bruises, and I can tell sometimes by the handprints what's been happening to him. You can actually see that kind of bruising. On the plus side, he looks better than the average 40-year-old. He's got abs for the first time in years. He's lean. I love the way he looks. Problem is, he's so busy, I don't really get to get hold of him that often. Most of the time, I'm pissed off that he's not around. It's just exhausting in every way.
My wife asks me how much of the program is left, an awful lot for a woman who is very bright and can read a calendar. I think she knows how long is left in the program chronologically, but she often looks for reassurance psychologically or emotionally to know that there's a light at the end of this tunnel and that I'm gonna come back and be a full-time dad and a full-time husband. Ready? 1, 2, 3, uppy.
I have tremendous respect for Boyd and what he's managed to accomplish here. To have that energy outside of this, I can't imagine how mentally that hasn't worn on him. And there must be days where he's just so sick of this, and where his family must be so absolutely sick of this. I mean, you know, I find it exhausting, and I find it, there's times when I just want to break, and so yeah, I don't know how he does it, and you know, he's an inspiration to me, and I don't want to let Boyd down.
Steve is another member of the 40-plus club. He doesn't have children to chase around, but the journey still has managed to take up all of his free time.
We train for a couple of hours every night. I walk in the door, take my antiseptic wipe, I wipe down all of my equipment, and I strip off the gear that I have. It goes straight down to the basement so it doesn't get touched again till it gets washed with color-safe bleach. Straight up to shower with the antiseptic soap that's designed to help prevent
impetigo and ringworm and staph infections and everything. Scrub down with that. Then I come down and set dinner on, and then I go upstairs. I'd have a little routine with my jiu-jitsu dummy that I'll drill and train for 15 minutes or so. Then I eat supper, and then I begin with the ice packs go on for about 20 minutes. And then I get into my TENS machine for pain relief and put that on the parts of the body that hurt the most. And then I finish my evening off with a half an hour sitting in the hot tub to loosen all the muscles and relax them before I go to bed. And I don't know how the Boyds of the world are doing it with families. I don't have that. I don't have that extra commitment. Mind you, I don't have the extra support either. It's just me. So I'm alone, I'm single. I kind of, I don't have anybody to either yell at me or to support me in the evening, so it's all self-motivation. I have a pretty senior role with the major professional financial services firm, and it's one of the things that people, when I first mention what I'm doing, people, friends of mine, would ask is, geez, how does that work with work? Or how does the firm work with that? What the hell are you doing this for? You're a 41-year-old, you're an accountant and you're a professional, and this is not the kind of thing you should be doing. And there's a bit of me that just wants to say, go to hell. This is what I want to do. You know what? I don't enjoy golf. And I don't. And I've tried, and we have work functions, and it's perfectly acceptable in the business world for people to leave the office at 3 o'clock to go play a round of golf. Well, you know what? I want to go to the gym, and I want to fight.
He's a poster boy for this entire program, if you ask me. This guy's got a great professional job, and here he is. He walks in here in a $500 suit and then rolls around on the mats and the sweat and the blood and the mess. I can't comprehend why he does this. And he's gotten a lot of flack, from his peers and that type of thing for being involved in this. But that guy's hard. He's a hard cat.
There's definitely a spiritual, mental aspect where I feel alive, where it's just something that's so different from my world. It's something that's so completely just foreign to my normal day and what I've been doing for 20 years. It's almost refreshing in its brutality, almost in its honesty.
Every time I punch him in the face, he tries to defend, and now I can finish. Okay?
I'll tell you where I really clicked with Goodfellow is that I asked him for a ride home one night. And we walk down, and I get in this old, beat-up piece of crap Jeep that he's driving. So I look at him, and I said, Steve, why aren't you driving a Beamer or Lexus or something like that? And he goes, yeah, I get a lot of flack from the boys at work because I don't. But he said, I really like this Jeep, and that's what I drive. And that hit me the right way right there. There's a guy that can afford more, but he walks to his own drum. He does his own thing regardless of what anybody thinks he should. That's my kind of guy.
Rick and Steve? Oh my God. Yeah, that's Oscar and Felix, the odd couple. We got upstanding citizen VP accountant, Steve Goodfellow, and part-time wrestler, part-time gypsy, Rick Doyle. Those guys are as thick as thieves. It's hilarious.
At the start of the program, if I had to vote looking around at who I'm least likely to go have a beer with, it would have been Rick Doyle. And right now, who I'm most likely to go out and have a beer with is Rick Doyle. These three have formed a special bond that would never exist without the program. Physically, they are all suffering, but Boyd is so damaged, he may not be able to continue.
I just feel so fatigued, and it seems like everything hurts more. My body just feels like it's running at about 20% capacity most of the time. And I think it's just because I'm asking it to do too much.
Boyd Sharp's dream of becoming a pro fighter after only 1 year of training is in jeopardy. It's hard enough to fight in the cage, but surviving a year of training is not something many 40-year-old bodies are capable of enduring.
When I think about how far we are through the program and how much we have left now, it just depresses me. A year is a long freaking time. There's not a lot of fun being had. We're grinding now. I I just opted to have a cortisone shot put in my shoulder. It got to the point where I couldn't use my arm. I couldn't even pick my kids up out of the crib.
Boyd's injury means he is unable to train.
Well, cortisone shots are great if you're playing in the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup final. But other than that, all it does is mask the injury. Your body's sending you signals for a reason, telling you can't do this, it hurts.
Well, my rationale is, like, I don't have the luxury of time. I got one shot at this, and it's now. It's like, I either spend the next 6 months basically f***ing around and not getting better, or I can try this. And I said, I have to try it.
The downside is that when the cortisone shot wears off, your shoulder's going to be a lot worse than it was before you took it.
Might be a lot worse. I would not be able to do this today. I can guarantee you that.
Climbing this thing would kill you.
I would, yeah. I mean, I literally can't reach up into the cupboard to take down a tea bag, much less scale a wall.
My worry is that after this cortisone shot, you won't be able to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I worry about Boyd because he's physically seems to be a bit more fragile than the rest of us. He's gotten a lot smaller, he's lost a lot of weight, but Boyd gets put down, I would say, in sparring more than anybody else in the program. He gets hurt, and it's not a lack of toughness. The man's got, I just think his heart's too big for his body.
Boyd sure has got the heart of a lion. He really does. I have seen him beat down, squirming, crying, dragging himself around the mat, and he just doesn't quit. I actually text him all the time and say, will you just please quit? I can't watch you anymore. And he won't. And I just love his heart. I don't know how he's gonna make out in the cage. If he makes it that far, I kind of worry about him.
Boyd has been the heart and soul of the program. He's been the poster child. I think a lot of people look at Boyd and say, Boyd's not the most talented guy here, but look how hard he tries, look how hard he trains. He's here all the time. He's the reason we're all here, I think. And, I certainly want to give Boyd every opportunity to fight, but I don't want to see him get hurt. I don't want to, throw him to the wolves and have him go into a fight and end up with a concussion or, a broken arm or something. So I'm going to do my best to get Boyd ready to fight. I can't promise Boyd he is going to fight, but I think that he's put so much time and effort into this. I am a little worried about him if at the end he doesn't get to fight, because, this is a big part of his identity now.
When I entertain the thought that at the end of this, Peter is not going to let me fight, when I think about that, I actually panic, because if he doesn't let me fight, a small part of me is going to feel that all of this was for nothing, and I have sacrificed way too much. I have had too much time away from my family. I have put too much pressure on my wife. I have robbed my children of nearly a year with their father. I just can't let that happen.
Next time on Cubicle to the Cage, Boyd has to decide if he can continue to push his body to the limit, and the legal logistics of being cleared to fight might end his dream.
You got any killer instinct in you at all? You're doing a lot of thinking there. Thinking to get you hurt.
Yeah. Now here we go. Yeah. Come on. All right, now here we go. Yo. Like a doormat laying flat out from the weight of the days, they all seem the same. Are you slipping past the limit of all you can take? Unsteady the everyday, are you ready to break? You better get up and fight. You better get up and fight. Yeah. You better get up and fight, So, you've been beat up, knocked down, and kicked around on the hard ground trying to make your